strengthens you in those times.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see what happens on the other side, you'll understand why the motivation is there for us to do what we do. And because of that, even in the midst of the pain, I will look at those who don't have their platform, but we do. And I think my partner will appreciate this. Nah, nah, boo, boo. Suck on it.
I do appreciate that. That's for my kids, my grandchildren, especially my baby girl Donna, who I lost in 2015, like I said. And last night was just rough. I mean, I got all my prep work done, and I'll say it again. I know you've been there. You're a happily married man as I. You get your prep work done and you feel good, but it's only for a moment because something is about to pop you right upside the head. And in the midst of my prep work last night, I had thoughts of I've had thoughts of Donna. And I had thoughts of my parents and how proud they would be as grandparents. You know, I'm just
Mhm.
sad that I lost my dad in 2007 and I lost my mom in September. And they've always told me no matter what hits you to keep going, get your emotions out, but keep going.
Wonderful
I
advice.
I can't quit. I refuse to quit. Um, yeah, so I want to thank y'all for allowing me this first segment before we dive into the Football Friday. And believe me, there's a lot of it. Um, I will make this programming note. I recorded my picks yesterday with Mike Debate. You'll see those on YouTube later. Cole and I will do our picks live this morning. Um, got a lot of other stuff. It's a potluck Friday, but I needed this opening because just when I had hit the button on audio, for those of you listening on Real Wise Radio, just when I had just when I had hit the button to go live, that's when I felt my parents, especially my mom. Did we have our differences? Oh hell yeah!
Of course.
I've made that clear. If you listen to an old episode of Snowman Unfiltered, which will be available on Patreon, so you got to join the Patreon to get Snowman Unfiltered, and that's coming back soon. I've made it very clear. My mother and I had our differences, but at the end, she was my mom. And when Jody and I
Bingo.
moved to North Carolina, she was my first call.
There it is right there.
She was
And
she was
yeah,
my first call. I mean, Jody
yeah.
encouraged me. She says, "Look, I know there's a chasm between you and your mom, but she would want you two to be right with each other." And when I made that call, that's when I found out my mother had cancer.
Mm.
Something I wasn't prepared for at all.
Ooh, but I'm glad you called though.
I am. I'm glad
Ooh.
I'm glad I called too. It was Nicole, my sister, who told me my mother died and I lost my mom on September 1st, 2021. And just as I did with my dad and my baby girl, I broke. I broke.
Well, how could you not? I mean, your mother was one of your biggest building blocks to who you are as a man. Same as your father, and later on, same as your daughter. I mean, of course,
They were
you
my
should.
they were my biggest fans. I am happy to have Jody and my brood through her. I think the one person when Jody and I was on our way back from Chicago, when I visited my old neighborhood and my parents' house, we stopped here to visit the in-laws, and the first person I wanted to hug was my son.
Mm,
I wanted to hug my son Dakota, and when I got the opportunity, I broke again
nice.
because even though in the very smallest of technicalities he's my stepson, F that. He's my son. Period. Just like Sonia is my daughter, and Cheyenne is my daughter, and Carmen is my daughter, I will do any and everything for those children. And my grandchildren, from the eldest, Anastasia, to the youngest, Milani, I will do anything to protect my family. Period. My mother knows that. My father knows that. But some days, as my wife told me in a text message yesterday, some of those days are going to be real tough, because when I was getting to know Jody, she lost a couple of kids, and it hits her. Yeah, she didn't like me telling this, but I'll say it, via miscarriage. And it ain't fair. That's all I kept saying to myself. It's not fair. It's not fair. All right, I'm going to ask every one of you to forgive me for my next sentence, because it's going to be quite vulgar. But it is quite real, and it is every bit of who I am. So if y'all don't like George Carlin, you better step away right now. One thing I've made clear is that I've had people that have hated on me for years. And for a long time, I was silent. And I said, you know what? Hell with them. They're not ballsy enough to do what I do. But one particular person just would not shut up. And finally, sometime back, before I restarted my show, I went off on him. Why? You can speak ill of me all you want. Doesn't hurt me. Does not bother me anymore. I've learned to develop a very thick skin. Very thick skin. When people throw their shade at me. I don't care. I'm going to keep going no matter what. However, and as a man, Cole, I know you understand, when you throw shade at my children, when you throw shade at my wife, when you throw shade at my deceased daughter, that's when you piss me off. And a couple particular people say, well, you're not going to do anything about it. Oh, yeah? When I legally put a foot in your ass, then maybe you'll understand. People talk shit for no reason. I asked y'all to forgive me. For no reason, just to see you down with them. They what's the phrase I'm thinking of? And I think you know it well. Misery loves company. Well, I ain't a part of it. I'm not a part of that misery. This is me getting stuff off my chest, so hang with me, folks. Hang with me. I'm not a part of that misery anymore. I'm not a part of the world that operates like robots. I can't and I won't do it. I won't do it anymore. Anyone who's read my Facebook profile knows what it says. But for those who haven't read it or have gotten to know me, it says, I'm no longer apologizing for who I am, what I do, and where I'm going. Period. All that I just spoke was part of the reason I couldn't sleep last night. I couldn't settle for nothing. And I kind of had a feeling I would throw away the outline that I had this morning, because this had to come out. Anyone who wants to yell at me for it, go right ahead. I have earphones on my head, so I'm not listening. Anyone that wants to try to throw shade at me, beat you to it. I got sunshades on. Anyone who wants to speak ill of my family, watch what happens next. You speak ill of me, you got no problem because I don't listen to you. You speak ill of my family, like this one particular person has done. Then we have problems. Period. And it's going to stop being a problem as my silence will roar. Thank you for allowing me that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's best to actually put that thing out of you because it'll eat you alive if you don't.
Mm-hmm. I had to get that off my chest. So thank you all for allowing me that. It is very much appreciated. And thank you to my partner for allowing me, for allowing this. I had to. I mean, there was... I just had to get this out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you did, man.
Me too.
Yeah, you'll be a
All
stronger
right.
man for it. So I'm glad you did.
All right. Let's get down to business. And I open with the following message. The Los Angeles Rams are allowing the 49ers to live rent-free in their heads, and they have allowed it for the last 3 years.
I don't know what to make of that. Not your statement, but
But the incident thereof,
yes.
and for those of you that are watching, the sweater that you see, what I affectionately call my lucky mooses, wife gave this to me for Christmas. And it's one of my favorite sweaters. Another one I think is going to have scarlet and gold on it. But Ticketmaster tried to block 49er fans
Sad.
from purchasing tickets to Sunday's NFC Championship game at SoFi.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
can
laughing
probably
while you're saying this, but
look,
God,
laugh.
It is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Laugh, man. Because if you're stupid enough to believe that visiting fans are a threat to you, then you're done. I wouldn't be surprised now with all this going on. And yeah, Mike and I agreed when we taped our picks yesterday that it would be a great game. The Rams may as well just sign their death warrant. Because now, with that advantage in San Francisco's favor, they're going to get a foot put in their ass. That's all to it. They're going to get a... Did I lie anywhere, sir?
No.
Did I tell Did I tell any falsehoods? And I just
no
dribbled
falsehoods.
coffee on my sweater. Doggone it. When I get excited, things happen, okay?
No.
Did I tell any falsehoods?
No. I look at it this way. What did I tell you in terms of when if the 49ers were to beat the Packers? I said, if you're the 49ers, you should pray, you should hope, and you should root for the Rams to win that game.
You did say that.
Mm-hmm. Because it would be easier, not saying that they wouldn't beat the Bucks, but it would be easier for them to beat the Rams than to beat the Bucks because of this type of scenario?
Because they're living rent free in the Rams' heads. They're living rent
Yes.
free in the Rams' heads.
Right. Yeah.
They're
And the
living
and
rent
the
free
and,
in the.
yeah.
They're living rent free in the Rams. And thank you for that term. And thank you, Jody K, my darling Dr. K, for that as well. They're
Mm-hmm.
living rent free in the Rams' heads.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly why I said that, because I'm saying, man, they get the Rams. It don't matter where they play the Rams
Either Santa Clara or or Inglewood. Los
or
Angeles.
Inglewood. Yeah. Now the Santa Clara Inglewood. It doesn't matter where they play them. When I saw not the article I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
but the sentiment that we both heard come out of the coach of the Rams, Sean McVay's mouth, in saying, "Wow, I'm surprised there were that many 49ers fans at our home games. It was hard for us to get into our offensive flow. We couldn't even hear snap counts." And I'm saying to myself,
There's your rent free
yes,
deposit right
yes,
there.
yes.
There's your
And I'm
rent
saying,
free deposit.
right. And compared to me, I'm saying, who gives a crap? So
Mm-hmm.
what if in an 80,000 seated stadium, half of it is 49ers fans, half is Rams fans? Heck, even it could be even more than 49ers and Rams. It doesn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. That's what you told me yesterday off the air.
And
It shouldn't matter.
No, it shouldn't matter. But
It does to them.
it does to them. And if that type of detail matters to them, then how could they focus on putting forth their best performance against a team,
And
quite
it,
frankly, is built to beat them?
and it could lead to a blowout.
I mean, you look at it this way. So the Rams, the best half the Rams played against the 49ers was the first half of the first game they played
Yep.
in SoFi, where they shut out the 49ers, and until the very last play, and the very last play was a field goal, and that was the only play the 49ers had that they
led.
led. Yeah, in Rams territory. That was the first one. That was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The field goal.
And that was the end of the first half.
And
They only ran
half.
three plays in Rams territory at the end of the first half. Those three plays produced 3 points.
Yeah. So you look at the full game in Santa Clara. You look at the second half of the last game they played. I mean, overtime, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at those. To me, you look at those 6 quarters, and the 49ers simply have the Rams number, and it's not just this year. It was last year
and the year before.
It was 2019
and 2019. Yep.
This team has the Rams number, and what the 49ers have to fight against is the fact that they know they live rent free in the Rams' head, and they have to focus on, okay, this team is talented.
Mm-hmm.
This team is at home. It would be better for us to play in Santa Clara, but we're not. At least we're still in the same state, although I know it's a 7-hour drive.
Yeah, from north to south, from Santa Clara to Inglewood.
Right. But still, I know that they have to think these guys can pay like we do. Mm-hmm. They want to play in this stadium in 2 weeks like we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have to take this serious. So we can't just roll our helmets on the field thinking we beat this team 6 straight times and expect for the Rams to roll over. That's the only thing that the 49ers have to guard against.
That's it. They can't get cocky. If they don't get cocky and do what they're supposed to do, this is a runaway.
Yeah.
This is a runaway.
Yeah. Now, if they played like they have these past 2 weeks,
it's over.
It's over, and you might as well smile, Mr. Snow, because you will see that same team wearing those same jerseys, because I'm sure that they'll be wearing the white jerseys.
They'll be the visiting team in the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll see them wearing those same jerseys in that same stadium February 13th.
Oh, I can't wait. Listen, when the 49ers were 3-5 after they laid an absolute egg in Santa Clara against the Arizona Cardinals, who were minus Kyler Murray.
That probably was their worst game of the year.
Worst game of the year. Absolute worst game of the year. And I talked about it the following day. I talked about it. But I ended with this sentence, quote, "See you in Los Angeles."
And
I ended with that.
You're right, because that team has only lost 2 the rest of the way. So.
Yep. 1 to Seattle and 1 to Tennessee. And both of those were on the road.
And both was on the road, and both of them were winnable. So
they were very winnable.
Yeah. They have not been out of any game after that home loss to the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been out of any one of them. So things look pretty good for the 49ers. And things should look pretty good for the Rams. But when you get statements, or I should say, when you see events such as the Rams going to Ticketmaster and saying, let's restrict how people buy tickets
to zip code, via zip code.
Let's via zip code. Whoever lives in the greater Los Angeles area, that's who should buy these tickets. Really?
Which tells me they don't have much of a fan base anyway. Which also tells me it was easier being a Ram fan when they played in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Than playing in Inglewood.
In the greater Los Angeles area, yeah.
In the greater Los Angeles.
Yeah. It's better for them to actually have been in Orange County than Los Angeles County. Yeah, I agree with you.
I told one of my homies, Robert Cobb, the man in charge of The Inscriber magazine, he put a choice to me. He said, should I go to the Super Bowl party in L.A. or should I go shoot a special week in New York? I said, go to New York. And he was like, really? Why is that? I said, look, you went to Los Angeles. You know how spread out it is. And he immediately interjected and said, you have to plan your trip to Los Angeles down to the letter, down to the second. Because if you get started in Los Angeles, there's no stopping. Doesn't matter if you get a 3-hour break at SoFi or a 2.5-hour break at Staples, Crypto.com Arena. Sorry. I couldn't help that one. And the Lakers lost last night by 18, doggone it. So, F the Lakers. I'm sorry. I nearly put the wrong finger up. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm in a mood this... How did my wife put it? I'm in a mood this morning.
Well, unfortunately, our least favorite fan base would say, but our king did not play.
We'll save that for after the break. We'll save that for after the break. I got Chris Bass coming on at 5 after top of the second hour. But this is a Potluck Friday episode where we break down the AFC and NFC championships. The AFC is going to be a pinball game, and the NFC is going to be a steamroller. Okay? Oh, and by the way, guess who was asking about coming back to the team and maybe suiting up? Does the name Raheem Mostert mean anything to you? He put out a tweet yesterday. Well, I don't think he's physically able. And that I'm not in the 49ers locker room. I'm not in their training room, although I'd love to be an insider for the 49ers. And according to the folks at Full Press Coverage, I am. And according to myself, I am. I've been covering the team officially, quote unquote, since 2000. But be that as it may, I don't know if he's physically able to play. But just to have him suit up wearing that number 31 would put more fear in the Rams' heads. Don't you think so, sir?
As if they don't have enough to worry about in the running game besides trying to stop or contain Mitchell and Samuel. And maybe an occasional Ayuk reversal. I mean, it's a lot to have to themselves in the running game.
Oh, heavens. This is going to be fun.
So the 49ers actually will become more of who they really are with another piece they can add. Interesting.
This 49er team reminds me of the 2007 Giants, made that comparison before, and the Oakland Raiders of 1980.
Well, here's the funny part. The 2007 Giants went went. Well, of course, it was then uh, Irving,
Texas Stadium.
Texas Stadium. I love that. I love that stadium even more than the AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Look, Texas Stadium was it. Okay,
Yeah,
there were
but they
there
went.
were three favorite
Hmm.
stadiums for me back in the day: Soldier
Hmm.
Field in my hometown,
Right.
Candlestick Park because of my fandom, and
Hmm.
Texas Stadium.
Hmm. Yeah, to me, I thought that was the prettiest stadium I've ever seen
Mm-hmm.
football be in.
And then Jerry
Period.
Jones
Even to this
ruined,
day.
and then Jerry Jones ruined it with his branding. But we're not going to go into that.
Oh gosh, yeah, he did litter that place with a whole ton of branding.
Look,
But
going on, moving on.
yes, but but the Giants went to Irving and
Yep,
beat the Cowboys, and then the very next week they went to Lambeau and
and beat the
beat the
Packers.
Packers. So the 49ers have already done that. Although, as I said, the Packers had to go to Arlington and not Irving to
Mm-hmm.
beat the Cowboys, and then the very next week they went to Lambeau and beat the
And beat
Packers.
the Packers. Now they're going to
So,
go home. They're set
mhm,
Levi South, which is SoFi
mhm.
Stadium,
Yeah,
because
might as well call it Levi
The
South
Rams are
now.
0-2 in SoFi against the
Hmm.
49ers. A walk-off field goal in 2020, and you saw what happened in Week 18 of this year. And
Hmm.
they're going to make it three in a row.
This,
They're going to make it three in a row, to the point where a couple of the wives on the team, Kelly Stafford and Melanie Whitworth, said they would buy the tickets. Joe Staley
man,
was just a savage on Twitter.
I saw that.
You saw that tweet from Staley?
I saw that. I saw that.
He
Yeah.
said, already bought them.
I'm like, that's such a savage move.
That was so savage. And I
Like
love every part of that tweet. I
like
love
I
it.
said, like I said, the 49ers are living rent free in the Rams' head because that's wonderful. That now,
Hmm.
of course, that could be bulletin board material, but you know what? So what? In that
Until
regard,
the Rams prove it, until the Rams prove they can stop this juggernaut. And yes, I'm calling the 49ers a juggernaut.
I'm all for it because
Hmm.
you have this story that's put out there that you all hate the fact that SoFi is not littered in blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow. Yep.
You hate that. You hate the fact that you have to apply, you have to institute road snaps at home.
And
I'm
use a
like,
silent
man,
count.
yeah, and use silent counts. So what do you use silent
Which
counts
they're
at
not
home?
good at. You've seen them on the
No.
road. Tampa Bay
Yeah.
answered that
Yeah,
question.
I was inclined in my head because I was going to say that added to that 24-point lead they had in Tampa be erased
Hmm.
because you started to see the pressure get on them, and they were starting to make unforced errors, and that's one of them.
I mean, how'd my friend Joseph put it? Pressure busts pipes.
It most certainly does.
Pressure
It create
busts pipes.
it creates diamonds of burst pipes,
Hmm.
and and the Rams are the type of team where if you put enough pressure on them,
The pipes will bust.
yeah,
Week
they will.
18. Week 18. That's all I got to say.
Hmm.
Week
And
18.
you came very close to not seeing the Rams this Sunday.
Hmm.
You came very close to not seeing the Rams this Sunday.
Oops. It's just so funny. All right. We're going to get off of football for a brief moment. So I had a conversation with a bronsexual.
Oh, jeez.
I know, I hate ruining Friday episodes with this, but this one I can't help it. I'm going to find said conversation.
Okay.
Okay, here it is.
All right.
I found it, and I found the original post. And this is going to light you up.
All right.
Okay? This is going to light you up.
Ready. I think I'm ready.
My friend who goes by the last name of Davis, in a group called the Sports Room Group, which is full of ish,
Oh no.
put a post in there from a character from a Facebook account called, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Black Adam Schefter.
I've heard that account.
Some of these names will hit next week. This is his opening thought, if you want to call it that, because it ain't coherent. Jordan is the only... Okay, I didn't do it right. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Black Adam Schefter put down, opined, in your words, quote, Jordan is the only player whose failures don't count. Close quote.
I'm sorry.
I knew you'd get a kick out of that. I knew you'd get a kick out of that.
Oh my gosh. All right, I will put a pin on what I have to say until after you finish this thought.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This should take us right up to 9:05 when I have Chris Bass call in. But I'm gonna do this the correct way, in the form of this.
Oh my God.
Email Bronzesexuals CC Black Adam Schefter. Subject of email: study your damn history. Body of email:
hit him right between the eyes.
Okay, Black Adam Schefter, you have royally pissed me off. Jordan is the only player whose failures don't count. You stupid back-asswards idiot.
Wow.
He lists said failures. Swept by the Celtics. Doesn't count. Sure it does.
Oh,
he played the greatest team ever.
Right. It doesn't.
Lost 3-1 to the Bucks. Shot 37% last game. Doesn't count. That's a lie because the Milwaukee Bucks were a great defensive team. And considering the best, and considering the fact that the Chicago Bulls were a lower seed, the Bucks were supposed to beat them. Foot in mouth.
Right.
Swept again by the Celtics. Whoa. Okay, hit the brakes, rewind, go ahead.
Yeah, before you continue. And that 3-1 series victory over the Bulls that the Bucks won, that was in Jordan's rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, continue.
Yep. Yeah. Swept again by Celtics. 1987.
Okay.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Because
you were playing the Boston Celtics. And if you had studied your history, Black Adam Schefter, or whoever the hell you think you are, you'll know that those Boston Celtics, 86 and 87, were pretty damn good. And both times the Bulls came in as a number 8 seed. Lost to Pistons. Doesn't count. Lost again to Pistons. Doesn't count. 89. Lost again to Pistons. Doesn't count. 90. Put a pin right there. 88 against the Pistons. Got beat by the Pistons 4-1. The Pistons were turning into the bad boys, you idiot.
In fact, they were the Eastern Conference champions that year.
And beat the Boston Celtics in 6 games, which effectively ended that part of the Celtics dynasty.
And they were a Bill Laimbeer foul in Game 6 of winning that championship themselves.
Because they led by 3, 102-99, with 60 seconds remaining.
Sad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. This is ridiculous.
Lost again to Pistons. Doesn't count. Yes, it does. Because it was the Bulls' first trip to the conference finals since 1975, when they were a part of the Western Conference. And they lost in 7 games to the Golden State Warriors in 1975.
Hit them with that history, man.
Lost again to Pistons. Doesn't count. 1990 was the year. Scottie Pippen was unavailable for many parts of that game because of a migraine, which led Scottie Pippen to say, I didn't answer the bell. You forgot a note in here. Let me see if I can edit this for you. Beat the Pistons in 1991. So 88, 89, and 90 were not building blocks for Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls? Bruh. turn the ball over with the lead, 16 seconds to go in Game 6 versus Shaq and Penny. That year was 1995.
So we fast
To the
forward a few
lose,
years. Okay.
to lose the lead and the series doesn't count. You forgot a couple of things here. Beat the Pistons 1991, beat the Lakers 1991, world champions. Beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 6 games, 1992. Beat the Portland Trailblazers 6 games, 1992, NBA world champions. Beat the New York Knicks 6 games. Beat the Phoenix Suns 6 games, NBA world champions, 1993. You seem to forget those in your failures don't count. You know who failures you don't count? LeBron's. You don't count LeBron's failures. Oh my God, he's the greatest in the first round. Shut up.
Thankfully,
Because if he was the greatest in the first round, he'd still be undefeated, you back-asswards bum. And as far as Game 6 goes against Shaq and Penny, I watched that game start to finish. Orlando won that game 108-102.
Yeah.
Longley missed a layup that would have given the Bulls the lead. That was a heartbreaking loss. You know what Jordan did that LeBron didn't do? Jordan called up Ron Harper, called up Longley, called up his teammates and said, we're going to work for this ish. And 96, 7, and 8 beat everybody to win the title.
Swept everybody but the Sonics.
And swept the Orlando Magic in the process. Now then, to my conversation with said bronzexual, which is the purpose of this email. My top 5 is Wilt, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Magic, in that order. Why do we continue to bring up to negate the careers of GOATs? No matter how you slice it, they're all greatest of the greats. Appreciate them and move on. In 4 words, Cole Johnson, that pissed me off.
So, let me get this straight. Because Black Adam Schefter, because bronzexuals, people have simply lauded in your face that Jordan has won 6 finals without losing, and it's had 6 finals MVPs, and you're all salty because you have one person who has won 6 finals, but your king has lost 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to claim that the Jordan mistakes, faux pas, slip-ups, and losses don't count? The fact that we're talking about one of the most legendary careers came because it was a struggle for him to get there. And what am I seeing? Okay, I'm seeing a first-round loss in 4 games to a stout Bucks team in this rookie season.
Very stout. Very stout.
I see a sweep to the best team I've ever seen in the NBA history.
86 Celtics.
In the first round. I see a sweep to that same team who was the second best team in that era and that year.
87 Celtics.
And was the eventual Eastern Conference champions.
Mm-hmm.
I see a budding power the very next year. Oh yes, when Jordan happens to win the MVP for the first time,
mm-hmm.
and the Defensive Player of the Year,
1988,
and win a playoff series for the first time since the Jerry Sloan era, and they have hit the juggernaut, the new juggernaut, to rise up in the Eastern Conference,
mm-hmm.
and their perennial foe in the Pistons.
Yep. Yes.
Beat them in 5 in the Eastern Conference semifinals.
Mm-hmm. When the Pistons played at the glorious Pontiac Silverdome.
So the very next year, when the Pistons break their new stadium in,
the Palace of Auburn Hills,
the Bulls were up 2-1
mm-hmm.
in their first Eastern Conference Finals since the 70s.
And won a game in the Palace. And the only team in 1989 to steal a game in the Palace. Game 1, 1989. I'll state it again. The only team in the 89 Eastern Conference playoffs to steal a game in Auburn Hills was the Chicago Bulls.
So there's a legendary story that said that after game 3, Dumars and Isaiah talked and said, well, we got to do something to stop how Jordan is just ruling all over us.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, 3 games, they're out.
Yep.
And then
the Bulls returned the favor by figuring it out in
2 years later.
1991.
Now we get to 90, and Jordan almost figured it out by himself.
He sure did.
Almost.
He sure did.
But what he discovered, and that's why he was able to succeed the very next year, was that he was dealing with a team that even though they sort of played bullyish, they were playing chess, because they realized, okay, well, this guy's going to get off. We're going to make sure no one else gets theirs too. And it took Jordan that series for him to realize, oh, wait a minute, I got to utilize my teammates.
Yep.
And then the very next year, the first championship year, the year that you, Brown Sessions, and you, Black Adam Schefter, basically consider Jordan to be an NBA player, he and his Bulls swept the Pistons in the East Conference Finals.
Memorial
went on to
Day
his first championship.
Massacre. Game 4, Memorial Day Massacre.
Now, let me tell you something, Brown Sexuals. Let me tell you something, Black Adam Shelter. You remember the feeling you all had when your King won his first championship in 2012? You remember that feeling? Yeah. Well, imagine us when we were watching Jordan in 1991, and we saw this guy 9 years before come upon the scene. And then we see him ruck shop in college. He gets to the pros. He averages 28 points, actually 28, 6, and 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you would be correct.
And that was his rookie season. Not like your 25, not like your 25 and 5 from LeBron in his rookie season.
Le fraud.
And you saw this guy with his will learn the game and show that he can be the man. And then he learned different ways on how to be the man. And he had to deal with roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And it was because of those roadblocks that we appreciate the legend that is Michael Jordan today. It is those losses that you say that did not count.
Oh, it counted.
That actually, it counts more than you think, because it makes us understand, wow, you went through all of that to get this,
to the mountaintop.
and you became the ultimate champion because of the struggle that you had the 6 years before. Get out of here, man.
Oh, by the way, there's something that LeBron and MJ have in common, and that thing is unanimous finals MVP.
Correct.
But there is a difference. LeBron's done it twice. No, check that. He's only done it once. And that was 2000. No, he has done it twice. 2016 and 2020.
2020.
You know how many times MJ was a unanimous MVP in the finals? 1991, 1993, 1996, and 1998. According to my knowledge, that's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And you know the best part? Unlike your Kang, MJ never saw a Game 7 in the World Championship Series.
Not a one.
Oh, you didn't hear me? Let me say it again. MJ and Scotty, one of the best damn duos of all time, never saw a 7th game in the World Championship Series. Ever. Meanwhile, you're king, Black Adam Schefter, and get off your knees, will you please? I'm trying to make a point here. Meanwhile, Black Adam Schefter, you distinctly let us know you're a bronzexual in training.
Oh, no.
And it ain't that hard to train if you're a LeBron fan.
No.
By pointing this out about MJ, that the losses don't count, while your underlying message was simply, I love LeBron. Okay, then I have a question for you. If you love LeBron so much, then basketball-wise, explain to me why. Now,
the losses don't count.
Oh, we still got 7 minutes, my friend. So I gave a list, and I'm back to calling people out now. EJ Sloan says my top 5 is Wilt, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, and Magic, ... in that order, close quote.
Okay.
So I had to hop all over for this. I had to hop all over this.
Mm-hmm.
I said to EJ, remove LeBron. Know what his response was? Quote, Le GOAT. Now I'm going to let that hang for a second. Should be up here twice for longevity. And the sumbitch had a nerve to put a yawning emoji at the end of that.
Mm-hmm. Le GOAT.
Yeah. He
went
there.
Look, the G, the O, the A, the T better not be capitalized. Because I'm thinking, if you say Le GOAT, I'm thinking the Billy Goat. That's what I'm thinking.
The G was capitalized.
Oh, my God.
The L was capitalized.
It should be uppercase L, lowercase E, GOAT, with a Billy Goat there, and it's not referencing greatest of all time. It's referencing the animal.
The word I used was Le Fraud.
Well, hey.
Because basketball-wise, he's a fraud. I've said this for the years I've been on it, and he's a fraud.
Well,
and to invoke a funny story with my mother.
Okay.
God bless you, Mom. I love you. Mom and I had a bet in 2013 of a case of Corona if LeBron if the Heat would beat the Spurs. Well, LeBron did, and LeBron hit a jump shot, and I stood there and applauded. So the next day, I went out, came in, put the case of Corona on the counter, and my mom said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Paying off a bet." And she starts laughing, and later on that night, we shared one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Boy, if my dad was there, he'd be all in on it, too.
Of course. That's what I'm talking about.
But, you know, Black Adam Schefter and bronzexuals, as I said at the top of this email, do me a favor, will you please? Study your history.
Please.
Because apparently you don't know enough of it.
Oh, my gosh.
Apparently you don't look at enough of it. And I'm going to say something very, very rude, but I think my partner will appreciate it. As it's been said to me and Cole many times over, but doesn't apply, apparently you don't know or watch basketball and the developments therein. Fool.
Oh, my gosh. Sad. It's utterly sad that they're going in on the building blocks of what became Air Jordan. Really? The building blocks that became Air Jordan was the 2 times the Celtics beat the Bulls in the playoffs.
And the 3-1 loss to Milwaukee. And the losses to the Detroit Pistons, which basically allowed MJ to ascend the mountain and begin the Bulls dynasty. Now,
Those
he didn't do
three
it by him. He didn't do it by
no, he
himself.
did it by
Oh,
himself.
hell no. Hell no, he didn't do it by himself.
But those three consecutive losses to the Pistons in the playoffs,
Yep.
even that is storybook. In 88, it was 5 games. In 89, it was 6 games. In 90, it was 7 games.
And no kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, you use it often. No kind of flowers whatsoever for the player who both Cole and I deem the greatest player to ever do it.
No.
Now,
And no
Michael,
excuses. And neither would
yeah,
Jordan want us to give that to him.
exactly. You climbed into my head, partner. You climbed into. We do this often to each other on the air and off of it. You climbed into my head. MJ, Magic, Bird said, that's for y'all to discuss. We just play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest damn era of NBA basketball.
We were spoiled, bro.
Golden era.
We were straight up spoiled. I'll admit that on air. We
David
were spoiled
Robinson.
Oh my
Your
gosh.
man, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, we were spoiled,
Robert
bro.
Horry, Shaquille O'Neal, Byron Scott. Yeah, I'm going back in the day. Kurt Rambis, and of course, the true greatest of all time. You know these letters. You know this name.
MJ.
Besides MJJ, I will now say there's a tie up top my list. At center, 7'2" from UCLA, the captain, number 33, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I got to have Lawrence Tanter make that introduction or get a clip of him introducing Kareem, because what I'm going to do is put together a greatest of all time by the PA introductions, because I have and let me close out this letter.
Yes,
Sincerely, yes. Brian Snow, CEO, Endzone Sportsnet, along with
Cole Spo.
Lord. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Idiots.
Really? Idiotas.
They try to make an argument saying Jordan's failures, and I'm putting in quotations, in the playoffs did not count. But that's the reason why he's beloved and revered by all of us. It's because we saw that journey.
We saw the building block on the way to the top. Man.
I'm like, and I keep telling people, it's not.
We saw that building block on the way to the top. Okay? We saw the building block on the way to the top. And people will never, these kind of NBA fans will never get that.
No.
Let's go to my hometown of Chicago. And I welcome the one, the only, my dear friend, Chris Bass, to the program. Yo, Bass, what up?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Doing good. Glad to have you back on. And this time during the program, and you know, Bass, with just us sharing stories of how you and I got started as partners, and me having Cole as a partner, I had to have you on with this, because what people don't understand, when you get your own program started, and yours is legendary with Baseline and Chris Bass interviews, when you finally get your own baby started, you take a hold of it and you run with it.
Well, you have to. You have no choice, and that's the great thing about it. You are in control. If you are a person who's type A, B, C, or D, or you like to be in control of your own elements, this is the place to have it. This is a great opportunity for you to sit back and say, no, I have to answer to me. And don't get me wrong. You know, when you work in terrestrial radio, there is a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But from my personal experiences, I do believe that some people who I work with terrestrial radio and corporate radio, they have to go back to hell.
Yeah.
They have no reason being there. I really believe they're demons pretending to be human beings and escape the bowels of hell. because in arguments I would get into them with programming, it just made no sense. Why are you here? No offense. It's like, okay, somebody in your life has to be a relative. Someone in your life had to give you this job. Nepotism. Something along those lines. And like I said before, either you are related or you had relations with somebody.
Oh my gosh.
To get that gig. Because you don't belong in the building.
Don't belong. Oh my
You don't belong there, right?
You don't.
I mean, because if we're all here to make, let's call it what it is. We're all here to make money. We go back to restaurant. We're all here for that. So that should be the mission statement. Not saying that you can't have disagreements. That just happens all the time.
Yeah.
But stupid stuff is what I can't stand. And the older I get, and it shows with everybody. When I was coming up, like most people, my parents, more so my older relatives, like my grandparents and older aunts and uncles, they would tell you like it, as to say, T.I. is.
Yes.
Get off their chest and move forward. Why? Because it was therapeutic. You have to worry about it. They don't give a damn about you, so why should you give a damn about them?
Exactly.
So they were just that raw.
Drop them nuggets, man. Drop them.
Exactly.
Drop them.
They did not give two damns about your feelings.
Exactly.
Don't.
Or
Right,
as
it's
I
like,
put it in a sentence, they don't give 2/5 of a half of a damn about you.
Exactly. Suck it up, buttercup, and keep it moving. So this is what it's all about. So when you run into that type of situation, the older I get, I can't take it no more because of stupidity. I can't.
You know, something that that Chris and I shared. Not just Chicago and suburban Chicago. There's another common city where he and I worked. Me covering baseball, Chris doing radio, and that's Gary, Indiana. And the first time Chris told me about his radio experience in Gary, Indiana, A, felt sorry for him. B, couldn't stop laughing because, as Bass put it best, he said, I got to Gary, and I'm wondering, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh no.
Well, here's the backstory of that. So the majority of my time working in radio has been at WLS-AM for 15 years off and on. And during the 15 years, I ran to a guy named Abe Rycroft.
Right.
So Abe was a fellow board op and producer like I was. But Abe got the job because he wanted to infiltrate WLS to get information for the station he was really at in Gary, WLTH.
Oh, God.
And they were a talk station. So he was there as, I guess he needed some information. So he got himself hired to see the inner workings of it and take those ideas back to his radio station. It didn't work. But during this time, he invited me. He liked my style and said, well, tell you what, I'm offering you a job at WLTH doing middays. So I did a show called Here and Now. And that was the name of the show. And so I did that from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. First of all, when I got off the train and I got to, it was like something Broadway, whatever the street was.
I know where it is.
And it looked like a ghost town. I didn't see any human beings. No, really. You know how you feel like a Hollywood set?
Yes.
That has not been used yet or nothing?
There's nothing
like
there. There was nothing there.
There was no human beings. I'm like, where are all the humans at? There wasn't even a tumbleweed going through.
Nope.
Good Lord.
Not a piece. Not a piece.
Nothing. So I get in the building, and now I see human beings. So I'm like, okay, at least there's somebody here. So I saw Abe. Abe introduced me to the staff and everything else. And the equipment was very old and antiquated. I asked, where can I plug up my headphones at? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that here. It's a radio station. What do you mean you don't have that?
Yeah, supply your own headphones, homie.
Right, look, man.
Yes.
So this is what I had to do. Now, mind you, I'm on the air, mind you.
Yes.
We all work with headphones, right?
Right.
So I had to take their transistor radio turn it to
Oh my
WLTH on the AM, plug it up, and then hear myself in real time on the radio.
Good night.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
I can't make this stuff up.
No, because I had to do that at Chicago State my first 2 years. My first 2 years at WCSU had to hear the radio outside of the studio to make sure I was on, because their equipment, to borrow a word from my buddy Chris Bass, was so archaic. It's not even funny. And you're wondering, what the hell is going on here?
You ever hear of like here in Chicago at the Museum of Broadcast Communications?
Mm-hmm.
It's like walking to a museum.
Yes.
And you've seen the old equipment, and you're seeing how things used to be in the 40s and 50s of broadcast radio. That's what it felt like.
Yes.
It really did. So God bless their ministries, but they really need like an overhaul, upgrade, like really, really bad. I did it for 6 months, and I couldn't do it no more.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. When I covered Michigan City High School in 2018, the guy clued me in on how I forgot the call letters of the big station in Michigan City. Clued me in on how they work, because the group that was calling the games for Michigan City, and they only did 8 of them. Bless their soul.
What?
The station's equipment was so out of date that when my buddy Paul was calling the games, you couldn't hear it over the air.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for my friends as they were doing the game. Meanwhile, I'm getting comments all over the place saying, you make this adjustment, make that adjustment, and you're clear. And I'm going, why can't Paul get on the air for a few minutes? What's going on? Then I got the clue. From the broadcast team for the Gary South Shore Railcats, as they broadcast on that same station in Michigan City and Base. They have not changed their system nor their equipment in years.
Well, because they don't want to win.
Exactly.
They didn't want to stay in one place, and everybody goes back to the bottom line. They want to do on the cheap, and you're not going to get anywhere in that capacity. You have to invest money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it, you're going to be, like the hamster in the spinning cage.
Would you preach that lesson again about investing money, please? So these fools that are on, and I'm using the correct word, so these fools that are online get the idea about how to present their content. Would you preach that little nugget again, please, Chris Bass?
Well, let me give you an example, and I'll go back to the nugget. So
all right.
I've been approached over the years to be a part of various internet stations. I'll give you a perfect example. So one year, somebody heard me, hey, Bass, this is so-and-so, so-and-so, I represent so-and-so, can we meet for lunch? All right, cool. So meet for lunch, the lunch is on the person and everything else. And what I get is called the sweetie talk. That's what I call it.
Yep.
Oh, man, you're great. I heard you back at LS, and you did this, and everything else. You sound great. So I'll get this up. I'm running this station that I'm getting up to start. I want you to do the centerpiece. I want you to do afternoons, if that's okay with you, and everything else. I said, okay, sounds good. What about how much money we're going to get? What's the salary? Oh, yeah.
See, what had happened was
if you're a fan, 3 of us men have been there. Good God.
If you are a fan of The Honeymooners, which I am, with Jackie Gleason, the great Jackie Gleason.
Yes.
What I call the Hamna Hamna.
Uh-huh.
Well, the Hamna. And then when I hear the Hamna, that's the sign to get. It's like Shark Tank.
That's the sign to get that's the sign to get the hell out of there.
But thank you for the meal. The meal was delicious.
Yep, the meal was great.
Meal was great, but you, sir, are full of crap. So no, it's time to move on.
Oh, brother, I'm like MC Hammer. I can't touch this.
Not with a 10-foot pole either. Good grief.
Right. And now going back to the nugget when it comes to money, you have to know your self-worth, and you have to know the brand that you are creating or still creating. And you just can't do stuff for free because you're doing yourself a disservice. And then once we see word travels, if you work for free,
everybody's
going to
want you to work for free. Yep.
Service for free.
And then, right, and then nickel and dime you, things of that nature. A word to the wise: if you don't know, please try to consult people who have experience in this matter. It will serve you well.
It will.
So usually the game is to ask for something high and not knowing you're not going to get the high number, but you'll meet somewhere in the middle where it's usually, okay, we got to bring that number down a little bit.
Yep.
So if you're not not consider so worthy of it, but consider the fact that you are your own investment.
Yes.
When you're doing this, but you have to believe in you. So again, the dollar amount goes back to your experience, what you bring to the table, which is once again asking people who have done it before. So that way, when you go to the negotiating table, you don't go in there, as I say, bucket naked.
Right.
You go in there, but you're going there fully clothed, and you know what you're doing. So again, go in there with a high dollar amount, and usually what happens, you go down further to mid. So that way, usually the mid is the true number of what you're really going to get. They might be surprised. Some people walked in with a high dollar amount and got that.
Yeah.
So you just don't know until it happens for you. So take stock in yourself. If you don't know, ask somebody who's been it and done it before. That way you get a gauge on your brand. So that way you won't shortchange yourself.
Right. That is so true. So true. I had to deal with that for years at Chicago State. And the one athletic director that I dealt with at Chicago State from 2007 to 2009 pulled me into his office and said, look, we're going to make something right, and we're going to pay you for your hard work of covering baseball, covering basketball. And I'm going, thank God. And then the next thing he told me before we went on a trip to Houston, Texas, said, put together a contract, put together a rate, and I will be sure to get you that salary. I said, oh, hell yeah. Got back from Houston. I'm ready to pitch it. And he wanted me to pitch it 4 weeks later when he was in a meeting with the folks in charge. Do you know he got fired that same week that I was supposed to present that to him?
Ouch.
And I saw my dreams go up in smoke. So, folks, if you're getting into this industry, no matter how young or old you are, take stock in your value and take stock in your talent. Because I can tell you on 3 separate occasions, and Cole, I shared this story with you. I'll share it with Base and the rest of you good folks here on the air. 3 separate occasions down in North Carolina, I had companies give me the sweetie talk and blow smoke up my ass about how well I do things, about how well I call games and host my show. I said, all right, what's the money figure? And then I get the LC. What had happened was, and they were only paying, do you guys realize they were only paying me as much as $30 a game for a fellow with 20 plus years experience? I got so mad that when I got home, the last night I worked with the first company, my wife saw the look in my eyes. I was about to burst into tears, and she sat me down and said, let it out. All 3 times she did that. I'm never, ever going through that again. Ever. Because if you don't take stock in yourself and don't take stock in your talent, like Bass said, they can nickel and dime you to death.
And they will.
They certainly will.
My dad always told me a person can make their mouth say anything.
Yeah.
And that's usually the case when it comes to situations. People lie to you. People out there who are getting into this field, let me tell you something. You will hear the word no more than yes in your whole time.
Oh, yeah.
You will hear no a lot, but that one yes does make a difference. The one yes is the game changer.
The one yes opens the floodgates.
If you are a dedicated person to this craft, I suggest that you get yourself a mentor. It will serve you well. If you're able to find a mentor, he or she can help navigate you through this industry, because there is no roadmap to this. You have to find it out on your own or have a mentor. I was blessed going to talk with. I have 2 mentors. the late great Ty Wasley, who I heard at 19 years old here in Chicago on WGCI AM. I heard his voice, changed my life for the rest of my life, changed it completely. And then I got a chance to know the man, work with him, produce with him at WLS when he got over there.
Yep.
And the second person was Jay Marvin. Jay Marvin worked at night from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I produced him as well, and another great mentor and friend. When you're able, and I was blessed to have two. This is how life works. When your mentors call you up and become fan of your work.
Yeah.
It is extremely humbling. That happened to me twice with both men. All the words in the world cannot define that feeling I had from both. So my point is, if you stay dedicated and stay the course, there is no wrong questions to ask. Ask any question you want because it's going to serve you well down the road.
It will.
Get you a mentor if you can, and hopefully he or she will put their arm around you and help you along. Again, let's see something in you because you're wasting their time. You're going to come along and not do anything.
Exactly. If you don't put the work in, it's not worth having a mentor.
Exactly. You have to bow to the feet of the masters. You have to. In order for you come with your cup empty for them to fill it. So once you get on board with that, I'm telling you, it will make you a stronger broadcaster. I promise you.
I had to learn that lesson working with the man that you're hearing, Chris Bass, in 2006, and he told me that exact same sentence while we were getting to know each other at PSI Radio, which is how the big sports show took off, and that's how Chris groomed me to be a lead host because I was the way it was set up, I was the sidekick, but Chris pulled me aside and he said, this is what's going to happen. I'm grooming you to be the lead host, and I want you to mentally take notes and trust me. Well, Chris Bass, my friend, a very, very dear brother. I've trusted you for many a year, and I will continue to trust you and lean on you for advice. And as many times as I have you on this show, I want you on this show many more times.
Well, I'm already there. I thank you tremendously. I love you more. And here's a side note. I never saw you as a sidekick. I never saw you as a sidekick. I saw you as a co-host.
Yeah.
Now, Cole, you work with this man. He's a freak.
Yes.
You know, he really, the man's a sideshow freak. The knowledge he has about sports makes no damn sense. It doesn't. No, I, Brian, I love you, but ooh-wee, I'm telling you, it will make your head spin. And he's a freak of nature.
And
he really is.
We've shared this. We've shared this story. What did it for Bass is when during football season 2006, someone brought up no one has ever thrown for 400 yards in a Super Bowl game. I said, someone has. His name is Kurt Warner. And Bass looked at me and said, what? I said, yeah, Kurt Warner, 29 of 45, 414 yards and 2 scores. He looked at me.
See that right there. That right there.
And I bet you he did not go to Google.
No, there was no Google back then. No,
Exactly.
He was Google.
He was Google, right?
He was Google, right?
He was Google, exactly.
He was Google. I'm sorry, Google. Go and continue. Go on, Google.
It's all.
100, bro.
Listen,
100.
Bass looked at me and I looked at him and I'm going, what? He said, and this was his exact sentence before we went on the air. And forgive me in advance, he said, there's no way you could know all that shit in one sentence.
Right.
And I said, Bass, I watched it. It happened. He said, there's no way. I'm going to go check it out at home.
Sure did.
And
no.
I'm going to come back in here tomorrow, and I'm either going to laugh at you or you're going to see my mouth hanging through the ground as I'm picking up asphalt from picking up my mouth. I said, all right. I shrugged my shoulders, and I walked out. I drove home. Right. Drove in the next day. We're getting ready to go on air. I'm waiting for Bass to come in. Bass was a little late coming in. I heard the door fly open. And Bass walked in, and you know when, hey, y'all know the Juggernaut from X-Men? That was Bass that day. The next day, he walked in, And the first thing he asked me was, how the
Didn't you know
hell did
that?
you know all of that? I said, Bass, I told you, I watched it. And then he put his arm around me. He gave me a hug. He said, I will never doubt you again.
And that was the name Rain Man was born because
Yes.
the backstory was I went home, I checked it out, my wife Vicky, I was shaking my head like, I don't believe this. She was like, what are you shaking your head for? I said, Brian called everything about this play, about the statistic, verbatim. He's Rain Man. He's Rain Man. So that name, I know your nickname is Snowman, but I will always call you Rain Man.
It's Rain, and I'm honored. I'm honored to have you give me that. To have you give me that nickname. I really appreciate it. That's Chris Bass joining us here on the program. Got to go to a break, but Bass, I got to have you on more. I really appreciate you.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to always be with you. Cole, it's nice meeting you, brother. Continue both of you to have great programs. And anytime you need me, Brian, I'm already here.
I appreciate it, brother. I love you. Thank you so
nice
much.
meeting you, bro.
Well, have great shows. Take care.
You too.
Now that you know one of my best friends in the business, hey,
well, I can't believe I actually had a brother's moment with your mentor. Did we just become best friends?
Yep. Hell yeah, we did.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah, we did.
That is awesome, man.
I love him dearly.
I love see why.
I love him dearly. And there will never, ever, ever be another Chris Bass. Ever. Mm-hmm. And to anyone who thinks there will be, you are sadly mistaken. All right, we're going to get back on track, but don't forget, this Sunday is the AFC Championship game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs with a 3 p.m. kickoff on CBS. And who knows, yours truly may do a reaction video. So click and subscribe on YouTube for all updates.
Bengals.
I'm also here. I'm the world's biggest personalities. But I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, father, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer a lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1.6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect with human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delisha on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delisha, that is where you find it. Here, children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delisha. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delisha, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Ooh, yeah.
Don't forget, the AFC Championship is Sunday, 3 p.m. from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, as the Cincinnati Bengals meet the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship for the fourth consecutive year. And, okay, we do have everything. Okay, good. I was worried there for a moment that my equipment was starting to shut down again. Here we go. Let's do this doggone thing. AFC Championship, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo have the call. Mike already gave his predictions. You can see those on YouTube. And we invite you to like and subscribe to the channel, to the Snowman in the Morning YouTube channel. I got to be honest, man. I'm going with the road team. I can't ignore the momentum of the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't and I won't. So the line is 7.5 in favor of the Chiefs. Chiefs are laying 7.5 at home. But I'm going to take.
That's healthy.
That's
healthy. That's about right. That's about right. Okay.
Well, I'm going with the.
I like the Bengals. I like the Bengals, and I think they're less than 7. But in terms of Vegas, just to get action, I think that's the right line.
I'm going with the road team, and I'm taking the points. I'm going with the Bengals for the straight-up win.
And I can understand why you would go with them. I mean, they did play last month, and it was in Cincy. It wasn't in Arrowhead. And the Bengals, it seemed as though they were trying to figure out how the Chiefs were. And in the first half, they had some success, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out to tell them in the third quarter, and they just exploded on them.
Yeah, they did.
And the one advantage that I totally see that the Bengals do have over the Chiefs is I don't know if they have speed in the secondary that can combat the athleticism and speed of the Bengals skill position players. I don't know if they
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, perhaps.
Oh, gosh. Yes. I mean,
two of the fastest receivers I've ever watched.
Yes. And there is a play where it was scientifically broken down, the 72-yard touchdown pass that Chase caught and ran 50 of those 72 yards. And there had to be, if I'm not mistaken, 3 different Chiefs secondary members who had a decent shot at getting Chase, and he turned it on another gear, and none of them laid a finger on him. And I'm saying to myself, wow.
Untouched.
Yeah, untouched. So, yeah, if there's an advantage, that's one to be had. And the one thing about Joe Burrow, he is not bashful nor shy about going to Jamar Chase all game long.
Exactly.
And you do have to look out for the Azumas and the Higgins of the world too, because you overlook them, they will chew up clock and they'll chew up first downs.
So will Joe Mixon.
And then there's Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to me, the key to victory for the Bengals, to me, has to be that they are unafraid of using Joe Mixon on the backfield.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah. Of course, Kansas City is Kansas City with speed and athletes all over the place, but I think you thought Buffalo gave them a tough test. I think Cincinnati's going to give them a tougher test. For me, the key is going to be the offensive line of Cincinnati. Because if the Chiefs watched any game film from last weekend, they're going to be licking their chops to come after Joe Burrow. And
as they should.
Mm-hmm.
As they should, because let me be blunt. The Titans' defensive line, it's okay, but it's not otherworldly like say the Bucs' defensive line, where you actually can see them getting 9 sacks on a team.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans' defensive line is not the type that you would think they would get that many sacks on any NFL team.
Exactly.
Yet they amassed 9 against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. They sure did.
The Chiefs' defensive line is just a little better. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's a little better than Titans' defensive line. And they could give the Bengals a run for their money, and they should be salivating.
Yeah, they're licking their chops. Mm-hmm. They are licking their chops. Mm-hmm. I'm going to predict a wild score here. Like I said, my pick is the Bengals, and I'm taking 7.5. I'm taking those 7.5 points, and 44-41 Bengals.
Oh, you definitely want this to be a pinball machine game. Okay.
And it's in regulation. It'll be a walk-off in regulation. If it goes overtime, it goes overtime, and it winds up 52-50 or 52-51 or something like that. But, yeah, I expect this to be a pinball type game.
All right, I'll put it this way. The game to me comes down to which unit is not going to cost the team. I mean, it's just that blatant for me. The Bengals defense is solid enough. It's not the best of the 4, but it's solid enough to where they can make plays. But you can make hay with them. You can beat them deep. You can run on them at times. So you can have some success against them. To me, it's all about that Chiefs defensive line not breaking down against the offensive line of the Bengals not breaking down. And it's which unit is going to not hurt their team. Which unit is going to hurt their team less, in my opinion. And that's the battle to me. That's the battle. And I agree with you. The Bengals will have their shots, and they will be putting up some points against the Chiefs. Unfortunately, I don't have the same faith as you, and part of it I know is that you know, I know you're a sports head, but you're also a nostalgia guy.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the third meeting because, let's be honest, everybody, you already know who he's going to pick the very next game, but you basically want these two teams to meet up for the third time in Super Bowl history. I just can't see it. I want to, and I have no horse in the race. I don't root for the Bengals. I don't root for the Chiefs.
I wouldn't be surprised either way. With the two best teams in the AFC are playing in the AFC Championship game. They are. The two best teams in the AFC are playing in the AFC Championship game. End of story. So
they are.
We're on opposite sides here, just like Mike and I was earlier. Mike's taking the home team. Cole's taking the home team. I'm the lone horse in this race.
Game,
yeah, it's going to be a fabulous game. It's going to be a fabulous game. I can't wait to see what these two put together. What are your pick? What is your pick for the AFC Championship? Is it the Bengals? Is it the Chiefs? What kind of score you got? Let's get those championship picks going. And all you have to do is tweet the show at official SIT Morn. Let us know your championship pick in the AFC. And now the one that I'm waiting for, 6:40 Sunday night, the 49ers and the Rams. I have never hid who my pick was since the walk-off by Robbie Gould. Rams are favored by 3.5. I don't care. Fox has the call with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I do not see the Rams winning this game. I'm taking the 49ers. I'm taking those points, and I'm calling for the 49ers to get the straight-up win in Levi South, called SoFi Stadium.
Levi South.
Hey, I didn't make that one up, okay? Someone made that up for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's the key for the Rams to win this game. You know the game they played 2 weeks ago against both teams' divisional rival in the Cardinals.
Yep.
That was, to me, the best game the Rams played all year long. And they played a similar game like that against the Bears at home. And for me, it is about having Stafford take shots downfield, but judiciously doing so, picking the spots as to when to do it.
Which he won't.
Which he won't. Meaning he has to draw the more defenders within that 10-yard box, which we call 8 in the box. He has to have that many defenders within the 10-yard radius of the line of scrimmage. And if you have that many who think that you're going to run the ball, that will give Stafford the ability to throw over top of it. But as we have seen throughout the course of this year, and we actually saw in the course of that fourth quarter in the last game they played, they will throw caution to the wind.
Yep.
And
it
they'll
nearly
just
cost
chunk
them.
the ball up. And nearly cost them. And they will chunk it up, and they'll throw picks. But I don't see the Rams doing that. I think the Rams think that their bread is buttered by feeding Higbee and Jefferson and Beckham and, of course, Kupp.
Oh, they want to get the ball to Cooper Kupp. They want to get the ball to Cooper Kupp.
And they'll forget Michelle and Akers in the backfield.
They're going to forget them early. Come on, look at the game against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay eschewed the running game after 2 first down runs, and then the Rams started salivating and say, "Oh, they want to throw the ball downfield just like we do, dummies."
Yeah. So the only way for the Rams to beat the 49ers is they're going to have to actually dare to punch the tough man in the mouth. They're going to have to dare to do that. They're going to have to dare to roll up their sleeves and start swinging, because that's the only way they will win this game. But that is not how they play. That is not how they're coached.
It's not who they are.
It's not how they roll. And it's not their identity. But we're talking about a team in the 49ers where that is their identity, because they believe when they walk off the bus, there isn't a team tougher than they are. There isn't a team that's more physical than they are. And there isn't a team that could beat them by being physical. And there definitely isn't a team that could beat them by being finesse.
Exactly.
And when you have the weapons that you have, I mean, I can talk about Juwan Jennings. I can talk about Brandon Ayuk. I can talk about George Kittle. And me, you know me, I think as lethal of a weapon as Kittle is in the passing game, his biggest threat is being a 6th offensive lineman.
Yep.
The fact that
his best threat is being a 6th offensive lineman.
The fact he salivates being that tells you the mentality of this guy, because he could care less if he gets 10 catches or 2, as long as there's a W on the board and he gets a chance to hit people. He's good. So that tells you the physicality that the 49ers will bring to SoFi. And I said this, and I'll keep saying it. Defense travels.
A running game travels.
we saw that Saturday. We saw the pass rush travel. 5 sacks they got on Rodgers, which matched the 5 the week before with Dak, which matched the 5 before that with the quarterback they're facing Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it travels whether it's cold or whether it's in the dome stadium or in a covered stadium, which that's what we'll be playing on Sunday. So I don't think the Rams offensive line has an answer for the defensive line of the 49ers. I will put that out there right now. No matter what I think, the Rams offensive line has no answer for that pass rush. None. Zero. The only way they'll be able to get any success is if the Rams can give Stafford time to throw deep. And if they can hold that pass rush off by running effectively. That's the only 2 ways that they can actually get something accomplished. Other than that,
not a chance.
You got too many weapons. Not a chance. You got too many weapons
not a
on the
chance
offense
in hell.
for the 49ers to deal with.
Not a chance in hell.
I mean, because we could talk about Deebo Samuel being basically the greatest weapon in the NFL today.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the wide back, as he named himself.
Yes. He can get you 10 receptions or 10
rushes.
10 receptions or 10 carries.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds you of what the Niners did later on in the West Coast offense with one Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? They started doing that early.
Mm-hmm.
They started doing that early with Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm. So you got Elijah Mitchell, who basically carries the load, and he basically is supposed to be the guy to sort of keep the offense on time, and to make sure that their identity of being that physical, tough, bruising offense is still intact.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's give credit to that offensive line up front.
Oh, man.
Let's give credit to him right now.
Please.
How many times has Garoppolo been sacked these last 2 games?
5. 5 total.
When you deal with good to great defensive fronts,
mm-hmm.
the fact that you could say that he's only been put to the turf 5 times in 2 games, I like their chances there. And each time they gained over 100 yards on the ground against those teams.
Yes, they did.
Against those teams.
106 against Green Bay.
So you're dealing with the offensive line that they're in their bag right now.
Mm-hmm.
They pass protect well. That to me, that's not their strong suit, but they can do it well. They pass protect well, and they're run blocking beautifully.
Man,
that is their strong suit.
Zone running scheme.
Yes, that is their strong suit.
I mean, it was the 49ers sweep in the 80s and the 90s with Roger Craig and Ricky Waters, and now Kyle Shanahan, son of Mike Shanahan, who was a former OC for the 49ers.
Cut zone read. Mm-hmm.
Employed the zone read. Hey, Greg Roman, that's how you employ a zone read, you big dummy.
The one cut zone read. And
let me shout this out again. Hey, Greg Roman, you ruined Colin Kaepernick and you've ruined Lamar Jackson because you don't know how to run the zone read correctly, you big dummy. Yeah, I said it. He's ruined 2 quarterbacks. Let's make, before I finish with that, let's make our picks official. Both of us are going with the 49ers.
Yeah, I was going to say yes. And the line, the Rams should be insulted with the line.
Yeah, they should be. But they're not. They're just happy to be favored.
Yeah, they should be because they're only favored technically by 0.5 point.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically saying that it's going to be a close game. We think possibly Rams, you could pull it out, but we're not sure because we think that the team that you're facing can pull it out by the same margin, I may add. And yeah, I just have no faith in the Rams. None.
I got no faith either.
None. And what sealed it for me was even before the Ticketmaster stuff this week. What sealed it for me was 2 days after the last time they played, before the Rams played the Cardinals, the 49ers played the Cowboys, you had Sean McVay still, days later, when he should be focusing on the Cardinals, talking about that game just in amazement that there were that many 49ers fans in SoFi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, That's right there.
And
That's why I had to say.
He's still talking about it. Kind of reminds you of the Houston Rockets in 2018, doesn't it?
Right.
Or 2019, when they were complaining about fouls the previous year and not concentrating on the Golden State Warriors upcoming in the playoffs, and they wound up losing in 6 games.
And that's exactly why, it's the same mentality. That's exactly why I said, man, McVay, because you're the leader of this team.
Supposedly.
The Rams now have allowed the 49ers to live rent-free in your head. And until you can rid yourself of them living rent-free in your head, they're going to continue to wreak havoc, and they're going to continue to disappoint you. And unfortunately, on this biggest of stages, where they brought in Matthew Stafford to win a game like this.
This is why they brought in Matthew Stafford, not for the Cardinals, not for the Buccaneers. It's for
this game.
It's for this game right here.
It's for this game, and hopefully for them the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. But they're going to be massively disappointed.
They're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Very, very disappointed. So we're both taking the 49ers and the points in this game. Fox has the call. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the national television call. If you listen on the 49ers network, Greg Papa and Tim Green have the call there. Now, I started to say something in the midst of that, and since I don't have any notes in front of me, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Next week, we'll tackle the coaching hires, because I still need to sleep on Matt Eberflus going to the Bears and no one hiring Brian Flores as of yet. We'll hit all that on Monday, right after I celebrate. Now, Greg Roman, why are you still employed? That's all why are you still employed, Greg Roman?
You know, when I heard the news that Harbaugh fired Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, I was disappointed. And I say disappointed because I don't really think he was the issue, because the defense of the Ravens played pretty well, even though they had a 6-game losing streak at the end of the season. I didn't see too many problems with their defense.
I saw with the offense.
Yeah, I saw continuous problems with the offense where they struggled to score points. They struggled to put together drives, and they struggled to have continuity week to week, game to game, quarter to quarter.
And they struggled the last 2.5 years to run the football.
And that is what they're supposed to do more than anything, is run the football solidly.
They have struggled to run the football, period.
I was so disappointed. I'm thinking, that's the wrong coordinator to fire. The wrong one.
The person they needed to get rid of is Greg Roman.
Yes, I'm with you, because I really believe he is beginning to ruin Lamar Jackson's career. And I don't care.
I'm sorry. I hate to be so solidified in this opinion. And I know people are going to say, you got to give Lamar Jackson a chance. Well, he's already peaked because he won the MVP unanimously in 2019. And since then, it's been down the toilet.
I'll say this. I'll say this to sort of put another thought in your mind about that. So when Steve Young got into the league, which was what, 85? Was it?
Yes.
Now, when he got into the league in 85, he had a couple of years to get a feel as to what to do, and of course it was similar to Lamar Jackson, except for not having MVP or not playing long enough to amass an MVP season.
Right.
But you saw a lot of ups, you saw a lot of downs, you saw a lot of potential, and you saw a lot of ways where he made you wins because of how he played and what he naturally knew what to do.
Correct.
So he got a chance in his third year in NFL and fourth year as a professional to be under the wing of, to me, one of the greatest offensive minds to ever be in the game.
Yes, sir.
In Bill Walsh. And he had great instructors with him and a good mentor in Joe Montana, who, as I've said on this program, that dude knew the 49ers playbook, especially
forward
by
and backwards.
He knew it forwards and backwards. He knew the table. He knew that book from the table of contents to the epilogue, to the point where he could probably teach pee-wee leaguers how to run the West Coast offense. He sat underneath that learning tree for the next 4 years before he was able to get on the field and do his thing, and we got a chance to see the greatness that he unveiled the following 8. So he didn't get a chance to really show us what he really was about as an NFL quarterback until the 7th year in the league. Let me get this right. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 7th year in the league. So Lamar has 4, and I get why you're saying what you're saying, because normally if you've had success, like he's been an MVP, he was an MVP candidate before he was starting to take the nosedive this year, and normally have it stick. So I get why you say that.
Yeah.
I think he's willing to learn how to be a quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's hungry enough to prove that he is more than just Michael Vick 2.0.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he wants to.
And I know he wants to prove himself as a quarterback. Yeah. I know he does. I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just going, look, Colin Cowherd said it best. I don't use the numbers, I use my eyes. And what my eyes are telling me is what I said at the top of the season. Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson have regressed. Now, can you rescue?
No debating that at all.
Right.
No debating that.
Now, I'll add this point to it. Can you rescue Lamar Jackson with the right coordinator? Yes, you can. Can you rescue Baker Mayfield? Hell to the no. Doesn't matter where he goes. He's going to get his and F the rest of them.
Now, that's a different story.
That's a much different story. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Lamar Jackson under Greg Roman, and I'll add that caveat, has peaked. And now he's starting to circle the drain. Will the can he be rescued? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. And I want to see that for him, but I also want him to be, I beg your pardon, a complete quarterback. And he wears number 8, so he should remind you of Steve Young, shouldn't he? He should remind you of Steve Young, but he doesn't.
And with Greg Roman, he won't. And I 100% agree with you. If Greg Roman is going to continue to be the offensive coordinator in Lamar Jackson's career,
then Lamar Jackson is ruined.
We've already seen the best of him. I do agree with you, because we'll continue to see the spurts of, he has great pocket presence and he has great accuracy in one game. And in another game, he'll throw 4 interceptions. We'll see those peaks and valleys continue.
We'll see the peaks of what he did in 2019. Then we'll see the valley of Sunday Night Football against, oddly enough, the Cleveland Browns, where he kept coughing up the football, where the Baltimore Ravens kept coughing up the football. It was such a disjointed offense with Lamar Jackson. Big problem. And I blame Greg Roman. I blame Greg Roman for ruining not one but 2 quarterbacks. One of them wants to learn and get better. The other said, F it, I'm done. And I hate that for the second quarterback, but he walked away from a contract instead of keeping the contract and deciding to learn how can I get better and dealing with his injuries and dealing with his mental blocks, because there were a few of them there. Yeah. You saw the dynamic possibilities of one Colin Kaepernick, but he walked away from his opportunity. Let me say that again as we get ready to get out of here. He walked away. He walked away. He walked away from an opportunity to pursue another opportunity, and we haven't heard a doggone thing from him since. I had to have my eyes open to that because I was a Colin Kaepernick fan. Note the term, was. But after I've learned everything that I've learned, and him being under Greg Roman, man, please. He couldn't throw worth a damn. He couldn't throw worth a damn at Levi's Stadium. I can't say never. He barely stepped into his throws. He was always eyeing one receiver. It was either Anquan Bolden or someone out of the backfield. Well, Anquan Bolden was their biggest receiver. He didn't even eye Michael Crabtree.
And